Hello, it's Dawn Bennett again, the author of The Touch Crisis. Super excited, coming out September 1st. So I had a couple of requests again to read some more. And I wanted to talk a little bit about chapter 1. So in chapter 1, it's called Ruts and Remedies and How to Scout Your Inner Terrain. One of the reasons I wrote this book is because I understand many of us need more touch. And I found a lot of science showing us why touch is so important. But the challenge is that a lot of people, like me, before I share I have some experiences that I share in my book, but a lot of us don't take time to think about what is our experience with touch. We just operate on patterns that have been conditioned. What did we learn from our, social, from our family, from perhaps our religion, from our culture? And we're really forced to evaluate what we believe and why we believe what we do. And for some people, touch is so foreign, you actually have to consciously make an effort to remember to hug or touch somebody that you know, or perhaps you're a little sensitive when someone offers it. The thing about the touch crisis is that it's not just about adding more physical contact into your life. It's about finding what you want, what you need, exploring where your beliefs come from, and shifting them to something that aligns more with you and who you are right now. And before I go farther, let me clarify what I refer to when I use the word touch, because for some people, touch itself is a very triggering word. What I mean is all forms of consensual, healthy, physical communication and contact between people. So this is everything from casual handshakes and high fives in professional or community situations to holding hands, or putting a compassionate hand on someone's shoulder, or hugs in more familiar or close interpersonal situations. That being said, I'm going to read a little bit more of chapter 1. Well, I'm going to read some of chapter 1. I haven't read any of chapter 1 yet. To tell you where this is taking place, so I'm jumping about halfway through chapter 1 because I wanted to share this part of the story with you today. It's just after I returned from Europe. I'd been gone for 9 months, and a couple of friends of mine picked me up from the airport, and I stayed at their house for a few days because they wanted to have me have a very safe and comfortable transition back into the real world of being back in the US after I'd been traveling for so long. I woke up early the following day and just laid in bed for a bit, analyzing my body and my mind since I had my first full day home ahead of me. I'm feeling really comfortable and at peace, I thought. It's lovely how quickly I went from feeling an acute lack of touch to really feeling connected and supported. So feeling energized, I bounced out of bed and I wandered out to the computer room to meet my friends who were doing some work from home that day. After a round of morning hugs, we headed off to the kitchen for coffee and breakfast and to catch up on all the news of jobs, friends, and all my plans for being home and returning to Europe again. It was all easy and relaxed until that afternoon. I was ready to go for a walk. My legs felt tired, but the kind of tired you get when you haven't really moved at all. That sluggish, apathetic, yet restless feeling. For me, I have to really ask myself if I want to go to bed or get up and move in that situation. But the three of us stepped out the front door, and as Lance turned to make sure it was locked, I felt a little pang of something in my chest. It's an annoyance? Why on earth would I be annoyed? There's nothing wrong. Perhaps it's just the jet lag, I thought. So I trusted the bright sun overhead and the crispness of the April air to settle me as I wandered along beside my friends, Lance and Sophia, down the city street to the quieter paved bike path, flanked by trees and parks. What a beautiful day, I mused, still curious about this feeling in my chest. I'm sure it'll subside as I moved. I just got really used to hiking almost every day, so I'm sure 2 days of sitting and being in a plane is really taking its toll. But unfortunately, the quiet discontent grew as we walked along. I looked at the bare trees and smelled the first bits of spring in the air, even as I analyzed the red sand from Texas that arrived in a large storm and created a pattern in the remaining snow piles. Are we walking too slowly, I thought? Have I gotten so used to walking in mountains and across fields that the city no longer offers any comfort? I turned back to the conversation between Lance and Sophia and their plans for managing a couple of looming work projects. But as I walked, I started to fidget, twisting my back and allowing my arms to follow the momentum and slap against my body before turning the other direction and repeating the process. Sophia said, well, the work I have to do gets done on a deadline. I either have to do it now or later. I've asked for a lot more help and have delegated other things, but seriously, if my firm doesn't get me help, I'm not going to go through another 6 months like last time. I'll just quit. And I already told my boss that. But as I tuned into myself as I listened to her, I thought, why do I feel so overwhelmed? I'm in the most relaxed, safe, and comfortable environment with two of my great friends. But I couldn't shake the feeling that there was too much input and that my body was in some kind of physical overwhelm or energetic crisis. So I took a deep breath, hooked my arms behind my back, stretched out my neck, and continued to fidget as we walked back towards the house. But as we walked inside, Sophia asked if I wanted water and touched my arm as we entered the kitchen from the basement. Oh my gosh, please don't touch me. I was startled by my own internal reaction at such a small, innocuous, and normal gesture. What is going on with me? But as soon as I asked the question, I had my answer. I'd gone from barely any touch to loads of it in less than 24 hours. My internal need for touch had completely reset itself while I was in Europe, and I was full up. I didn't actually think it was possible for me to get too much touched, I mused internally, struck and semi-amused by the conflict of being so grateful and wanting to hug Sophia and Lance for all their hospitality, while at the same time wanting to shut myself into a room and hide. As I gulped down some water, I applauded myself inwardly for making this connection. With this awareness, I knew I could make a clear choice on how to interact with my friends for the rest of the day. This is a far cry from a few years ago, I thought, when I was struggling with how to negotiate physical contact with people I love, including my clients. I'm so glad my awareness has increased. So as Sophia and Lance busied themselves in the kitchen, I let my mind wander back to one day at work several months after being accused of acting unprofessional and inappropriate with touch. So there we go. That's a little bit of chapter 1. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to continuing to share with you some of the science and some of the soul of what I found as I learned to connect more authentically and more clearly with people, with myself, with my community. Have a lovely day.